What's going on YouTube, it's Jason, and today we're going to be speaking about aspartame. Over the last 10 years or so, there's been a lot of media coverage about aspartame. Recently, the World Health Organization has decided to reclassify aspartame as a Class 2B carcinogen, i.e. something that presents a possible cancer risk. It's understood that it's going to announce this on Friday. So what does this mean for our favourite fizzy drinks? Should we abandon them altogether? Let's dive into the data. Now before we start, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, nor am I claiming to be. I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist who's passionate about scientific research. So I'm going to go through the evidence we have so far on aspartame. I'll put the links in the description below so you can read it for yourself, and that way you can make a more informed decision. Based on the evidence, there is no single cause of cancer. That's why they can't find a single cure for it. There are many elements to it. What scientists do instead is they test animals and human cells and tissues to see if they can find some possible causes of cancer, and from there they make a carcinogen list. This list classifies things from carcinogenic to humans to probably not carcinogenic. To be clear, as of Friday, we're going to be dealing with a possible carcinogen in aspartame. Now the evidence on aspartame is mixed, but one of the main studies being relied upon for this reclassification is an observational study done in France on 100,000 people over 12 years, which concluded that those who consume larger amounts of artificial sweeteners slightly increased their cancer risk versus those who didn't. Because of the size of the study and the fact it was done over 12 years, it would be silly to ignore this conclusion. But there are definitely some factors in this study that make the conclusion a lot weaker. Number one, and this might seem like a minor point, but those who consumed higher levels of aspartame had BMIs that were 7% higher than those who consumed lower levels of aspartame. Now we know that BMIs aren't the be all and end all, but for average Joe, they're a pretty good indicator of body fat levels. And obesity is a risk factor when it comes to cancer. So if the higher consumption group contained more obese people, this could skew results. The second factor is the difference in consumption. The higher consumption group consumed 47 milligrams of aspartame versus the low consumption group who consumed 3. Let's be honest, if you're consuming 15 times the aspartame, you're going to run into problems. As we know, excess of anything isn't good for you. You're not going to meet many people out there that are consuming 15 times more aspartame than the average person. And the third point is that this was just an observational study. They didn't really control any of the variables outside aspartame consumption. Lifestyle factors like what you consume outside aspartame, how active you are, and how you manage stress do have an impact on your cancer risk. So yeah, because they didn't control the variables, like for example giving everyone the same diet, we can't just say low levels of aspartame versus high levels and reach a conclusion. There may well be more to it. So all of that being said, what are the main takeaways and should we be concerned with this reclassification? Number one, let's give the WHO the benefit of the doubt and say that aspartame is possibly cancerous. Other things in this category include things like drinking coffee, consuming aloe vera, consuming coconut oil, and eating pickled veg. And in an even higher category, i.e. things that are cancerous to humans, are things like tobacco, alcohol, and processed meat. So yeah, if you really want to eliminate cancer risk, never drink any coffee, never eat any pork, and never drink any alcohol. Don't just cherry pick aspartame. And the second thing is that when it comes to cancer, we have much bigger fish to fry than aspartame. People are panicking about aspartame consumption. Meanwhile, the rest of their diet is poor, they're not very active, and they're overweight. From the research, things to do with your lifestyle, things like your body fat level, your activity level, your general nutrition, and how you manage stress will have a far bigger impact on your risk of cancer than an artificial sweetener. Remember, up until this point, there is no single cause of cancer. It's all about the bigger picture. The third thing is that the cancer research arm of the WHO aren't a food safety authority. The European Food Safety Authority, a specialist in the field of food research, have deemed that 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is a safe daily limit for aspartame intake. For you to hit those numbers, this would mean a 60 kilogram person consuming 11 to 12 cans of Coke per day. Now, as a coach of almost 10 years, I have witnessed some horrendous diets, but I'm yet to see a client consume 4 litres of Coke per day. One thing to bear in mind is that things become more carcinogenic the more you do of it, or the more you consume of it. So something in and of itself that might not be cancerous, the second you overdo that thing, you increase your chances of cancer. Not everything, of course, but the vast majority of things on that list are dose-dependent things. So that's everything. We shouldn't discard research or reclassifications, but we shouldn't deal with things in isolation. Cancer is far more nuanced than most people think. We shouldn't go on a witch hunt for individual things. It's all about the bigger picture. So from the evidence, there is no need to abandon your fizzy drink. Just assess your lifestyle as a whole and don't go drinking 12 cans of Coke per day. Hopefully you found that video helpful and that clears things up a little bit. Don't forget to drop this video a like, comment below for the algorithm, it massively helps. Please subscribe and I'll see you again soon.